What's up, guys? CJ here, and welcome back to another all-new episode of Super Friends, and I'm joined by the regular, usual suspects, Luke and Tim. What's going on, guys?
How's it going?
Hey, how's it going, everyone?
And we're going to do that great bit where I forgot what the episode number is. I feel like it's 79, though.
Pretty sure it's 79, yeah.
Yes.
One away from being an octogenarian podcast. Very, very exciting. It's kind of funny to think that we've made... I mean, it's weird, like, the weird numbers always make me think of how far we've come with this podcast from where it started and when it started. Can you believe, like, this summer it'll have been 2 years, guys. 2 years on the Super Friends podcast.
Oh, shit, it will have been 2 years.
By the time we're at SDCC, it'll be 2 years since I joined Hybrid.
2 years almost exactly, I think, because it was definitely middle of July. I remember we were talking to all of you guys about bringing you on the channel and joining up in these podcasts that Josh wanted to start, that I thought was a great idea, I thought at the time, of course. But retroactively, we're going to say that. But how are y'all doing today? How are y'all?
I'm doing fine for the moment. Can't complain too badly.
I like how you paraphrase that with, like, for the moment. Like, we'll see what happens. This podcast might change it.
This podcast may make everything worse.
It could. It could disrupt everything. Luke, how are you doing, bud?
I'm doing pretty good as well. It was a nice day of school, and I'm getting closer to my finals. That's always nice. And I'm quitting my job.
Hey!
My stupid job that I hate.
Your manager, who definitely listens to this, is going to be really bummed to find out this way.
Oh, no, she doesn't. I can assure you she does not listen.
You said that, and then saying
and then
that,
then
just
you get
shed
into
a
work
tear.
tomorrow. Luke, I was listening to my favorite podcast, Superfriends, and you know what I heard?
Oh, no!
This is when the Always Sunny title card plays, like the music comes in and the title card reads, Luke got fired.
It's like, what's the worst? I can assure you he doesn't listen to this. What's the worst that can happen? Luke gets fired.
Oh, man, but aside from Philadelphia and Always Sunny related things, we actually do have a decent amount of news to talk about today, and by that I mean we have very little news to talk about today, but the small amount that we do is very, very exciting. But before we dive into all of that, keeping the banter to a minimum for you guys today, I have to remind you that this podcast, both of our podcasts, but specifically this episode, is brought to you by Loot Crate. Yes, Loot Crate, that awesome subscription service that ships you a unique box of geeky, nerdy goodies every single month. This month's theme is actually Guardians. You'll be able to get stuff from Guardians of the Galaxy 2, like I'm sure you weren't able to guess from that title, Star Wars, The Goonies, and Destiny, another Guardians-related thing. Destiny 2 just got announced. Very exciting stuff. And you can actually get 10% off any subscription just by using our exclusive link, www.trylootcrate.com/hybrid network, and our promo code BRIDGE10. Get all that cool stuff, including an exclusive t-shirt you won't get anywhere else, even cheaper. But without further ado, guys, are you guys ready to get down to the news?
Well, all I want to say is I hope that Destiny 2's tagline is, "That was your destiny. This is your Destiny 2."
Yeah. That actually, I was going to say they're not going to do that, but that actually sounds like something they would do. Luke, you ready?
I'm as ready as I'll ever be.
That pun has weakened him.
So stupid.
Strike now, but...
Win, Luthor, draw, Luke.
Shut up!
Yeah, speaking of that, we're not going to talk about this today because none of us really watched it, but I guess one of the biggest news stories to come out of this day we're actually recording this is that Powerless was canceled. I do actually want to get your guys' thoughts on this real quick. I'm just calling an audible here. This wasn't part of our plan, but what do you guys think about Powerless getting canceled? Personally, it's one of those things where when it was in development, I was hoping better for it, but once it finally came on the air, I was like, yeah, this is going to get canned.
Honestly, I was never really that interested in it from the start, and nothing I saw afterwards really changed that, and I guess other people agreed with me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it should be prefaced. It's not like, officially canceled, but it's on its way to be canceled.
So it's been
and
pulled
you
from...
might be next.
Yeah, and you. And even you. But so it's been pulled from NBC's Thursday schedule, not officially canceled yet, but I mean, I've been hearing... I've been hearing. I've seen on Twitter, and I've also just read a lot of articles, and it seems like people in the know are saying that it is probably canceled, in everything but name, so it's probably done. And it just really sucks, because, I mean, you look at that cast, and you know, a lot of people will just not look past Vanessa Hudgens, but there were a lot of really talented, funny people on the show, from Ron Funches, who I adore, Danny Pudi from Community, Alan Tudyk, one of the legendary voice actor, but also a guy I think a lot of people in the I don't want to say the nerd community, because I feel like at that point it's not derogatory, but it's kind of a weird blanket term. But a lot of people
would prefer geeks. Damn it!
I mean, well, the nerd. I would say the nerds and the geeks probably know who Alan Tudyk is, all of them. So it's one of those things. Not the dweebs though. They're a little behind the time.
The
They're
dweebs
stuck
in a dark place.
1985. But the it's just a shame. There were a lot of funny people involved, and I had higher hopes for it. But it's one of those things that I couldn't shake the feeling that it was exploiting kind of the popularity of the brand and the genre a little bit. Did you guys get that sense?
I mean, somewhat. From what I could tell, like when they showed the original pilot, the original vision of the show seemed like it was a lot different from what we got.
Oh yeah,
yes, in a lot of ways.
It was so much better, I think, in the original incarnation, when it was supposed to be they were an insurance company, and I thought that was actually a really novel, unique idea in this world of superheroes where, Metropolis every other week is, getting invaded by Brainiac, or parasites running loose, or there's a giant meteor, or boom tubes have opened all up. It's one of those things that insurance in a superheroic world would be like so chaotic. It's one of those things that I was really interested in. They turned it to like, it was like Wayne Security selling like personal, I guess protection devices against, in a superheroic world, which I guess is similar but not the same. When you realize that Batman is profiting off of selling people things to protect them from himself.
Well, I mean, like, because the whole thing is like the original pitch, if for an insurance company, would have been like, oh, that's pretty cool. It would have been like a satirical look at how people view superheroes, and they're like, oh, they're not so great. Now the show is, we've made kryptonite windows so that your windows won't break when Superman hits it. It'll weaken him and he'll probably die, but your windows are safe. Also, exactly. The Flash has been put into the Phantom Zone by Sinestro. This is the top story.
Exactly.
Things that have nothing to do with each other. Sinestro's like never fought Flash in his life, and how did he get a Phantom Zone projector?
See, it's just little
what
things.
What is happening?
It's just little things like that, it's just so disconnected. And in a comic book, it would be one of those things where it's like, oh shucks, but coming from a
gee whiz.
A TV show, it's like it felt exploitative to me, and I'm not going to beat the drum too much on that because we have actual positive news to talk about. But R.I.P. Powerless, pour one out. Go to the corner store, buy a 40-ounce, and unload that shit on the ground. But
no, just buy a bottle of Dasani and pour it out. Don't waste money.
I mean, really, there's not much of a price difference, thankfully. God bless America. But we do actually have some good news to talk about. Well, I guess it's depending on how you look at the news. But we actually have some big news to talk about, as Young Justice has finally found a platform, and we've also found out where the live-action Titans series is going to make landfall, and that is, of course, Warner Brothers Digital Network, where everybody thought it was going to be, this digital network streaming service that Warner Brothers has pulled out of their ass, and will be putting these two series up. And this actually solves a pretty large mystery regarding the Young Justice, because when it was announced that there was going to be a season 3, everyone was like, well, where's it going to go? Is it going to be back on Cartoon Network? Is it going to be back on or is it going to go into Netflix of all places? Would it be like Adult Swim and go the Samurai Jack route? Or would it be like Samurai Jack and go the Adult Swim route? And no, we found that we hadn't heard anything about Young Justice being shopped to other networks, because it's staying in-house, and it's going to Warner Brothers' digital streaming service. What are you guys' thoughts on that in general, shopping this out to an all-new streaming service? Luke?
Well, I mean, I think that's kind of cool, keeping it in-house, keeping it in there. I'm wondering how much availability the streaming service will have, because I don't know, like, I would very much like to watch these things. I just need to know, like, what I need to do to be able to watch these. And I'm actually kind of expected something like this, because I know in the past they had talked about a streaming service kind of for DC shows, but, like, nothing really came of it until now. So that's pretty interesting that Young Justice is kind of staying there. The Titans thing surprises me more than anything, more because they announced that Nightwing is a character, because he's getting a movie as well pretty soon. And...
Well, I was going to say we'll definitely talk about that in a second, but
no,
you're good. I was really curious about that too, Titans, because specifically it had been shopped all over the place from like TNT to you had heard. I think it actually began its development life at TNT. It was potentially going to be a live action drama on the network, and for whatever reason, it just never happened. And of course now it's happening digitally. But, it's one of those things, Young Justice specifically, we actually got a few more details about the third season in this press release. It's really our first details since the show was announced, and we learned that the original voice actors were coming back. The season will be called Young Justice Outsiders, and in fact it's coming later next year. And we also kind of got a little bit of a synopsis. It's a coming-of-age story with a much darker mission, actually, if you can believe that, because I always thought... Season 2 is pretty dark, but it has them trying to stop a metahuman trafficking ring, and the description reads, Young Justice Outsiders, the teenage superheroes of the DC Universe, come of age in an animated world of superpowers, supervillains, and super secrets. In the highly anticipated new season, the team faces its greatest challenge yet as it takes on metahuman trafficking and the terrifying threat it creates for a society caught in the crossfire of a genetic arms race spanning the globe and the galaxy. So I'm actually really interested in that. It was specifically, I was really worried when I first read, metahuman trafficking. I was really worried that it was going to be a situation where we just kind of went away from kind of the grander, larger vision of season 2 and went back to being a much more self-contained story. But no, it seems like they're actually going to kind of build right off of that. And in fact, it reminds me of the story that was going on in Grayson, where they're hunting down these metahuman organs that give people powers. Like some dude had...
Right.
Like, some dude had... I guess the breakdown of that is that someone had stolen like a bunch of information on superheroes and had their secret identities and stuff, and had manufactured a bunch of like organs, like super organs more or less. So it's like some dude's eyes had Superman's heat vision and shit like that. Tim, what do you think about Young Justice Season 3, Young Justice Outsiders, and the whole metahuman trafficking thing?
Well, this is going to be short thoughts.
Well, I haven't got... you were cutting out for me, so I wasn't able to catch the full story there. I haven't gotten a chance to read up on it, but like I've said before, with Young Justice, I just never got into the show. I'm not a huge fan of it, so it coming back was never a huge draw for me.
True. Luke, what do you think?
In terms of DC's network itself, I didn't get to mention this before. I want to know now if it's going to be a subscription service or if it's going to be free. That's going to be a major deciding factor, and if I end up watching the Titan show, because I probably wasn't going to end up watching Young Justice.
That's a really good point, because the if it's going to be a subscription service, I can tell you right now that's going to kill my interest in it. Even though I'm very interested in the shows, I might be trying to watch it by some other means. Who knows? But I
even
definitely...
if it is if it's going through WB, they had the shittiest streaming on their website. Like back when I was watching Smallville, where they had 50 commercials on every commercial break.
The worst.
I hope they relax that a little bit, but the to me specifically, it's one of those things
42.
Yeah, it's if it's a subscription service, I know that's going to kill a lot of interest in it, and it's one of those things where it's I get it, you want to make money, and you've got to make money somehow, but ads are, I guess, the way to go, but don't overdo it. But I mean, I think what I could see them doing is requiring a cable subscription or something like that. Cutting some deal with cable providers and stuff like that.
Yeah, possibly, but it wouldn't having a cable subscription require it to be through a specific channel. If it's not going to be on another channel, then what's it going to go through?
Potentially. I mean, I guess Warner Brothers owns so many little channels. They could potentially handle it that way, making an extension of that, deal with cable providers in I guess in that way. But I don't know. It's at this point the details are so early. This is the very first announcement of this new digital Warner Brothers digital. So we really have zero details on how that's going to play out. But it is kind of cool, I guess, that they're choosing Titans and Young Justice to launch it. I mean, it could be cool. It could be a situation like, do either of you guys watch Bravest Warriors?
I still have to watch season 3. I never got back into it after season 2.
Yeah, so here's the thing. Go ahead.
I don't know what that is.
Okay.
I don't know what that is.
So season 2, I mean, it's one of those things where there was such a huge, massive, long break between season 2 and season 3. When season 3 finally came back, it was like on an app, like, and you had to pay for the app, or it was like I think it was a subscription service, and you had to. It was one of those things where it's like, I respect it. I respect that, it takes money to make this show, but damn, like, basically
respect the hustle.
Exactly, but I have still not gone back, and I respect the hustle, but I have not gone back and started rewatching it. Luke, what are your thoughts on Young Justice Outsiders and kind of the story, the synopsis, and I guess the platform?
That was kind of an interesting premise, actually. I wasn't expecting that. I actually hadn't read anything before the episode, but that's kind of cool. Like, trafficking ring, almost. It's pretty down there in terms of being dark, but yeah, I mean, I'm all up for it. I still got to finish season 2, but I mean, I've been digging it so far. I'm always happy to see more Young Justice, and I mean, I think I already talked about the streaming service beforehand. I'm kind of with Tim that I need to know what exactly it is, if it's a subscription thing or if it's free, and just how they're going to handle the streaming in general. Because yeah, that original thing was like not very good.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, so it's one of those things where they can either kill you with like needing a subscription, or they could kill you with a ton of ads, and I think that's one thing that
52 ads.
50 new. See, but it's cool because it has meaning. No.
I'm just curious with the title if they're going to end up doing the Outsiders this season.
Because that kind of makes me think. Like, because, they're, like I said, they're trafficking children. It makes me wonder if some of those characters, like, are going to be, Black Lightning and Katana.
Well, Black Lightning was already on the show.
Metamorpho characters that probably weren't on it. Was he in season 2 or something?
Yeah, he was, was on the Justice League.
Okay, I probably just didn't see him or something.
I mean,
or just didn't notice him.
I kind of agree. It would be a really interesting way to introduce some more, like, street-level characters, but the title itself is, like, really strange to me, because it kind of almost feels like my fear was that it was like refocusing, because season 2 seemed like it was going to directly build into like a big season 3 with Darkseid and all that. But first reading Outsiders, it made me at least initially like kind of gut feel like they were going to refocus the series on like a new team, and I was like, well, why did you get everybody hyped for a season 3 and like all the voice actors returning if that was going to be the case?
To be swear, switching up teams between seasons wouldn't be out of Young Justice's range.
Exactly, they basically did that in season 1, or from season 1 to season 2.
Now we skip 20 years.
CJ, they're gonna have Darkseid, but it's gonna be Boss Darkseid. Remember him, the gangster? He had like underground fighting rings.
Of course, there you go.
Best Darkseid.
Oh my god! But we'll see what happens, at least in that regard. Moving on to the other side of that coin, they've announced that they're the kind of the partner to Young Justice season 3, Young Justice Outsiders, on this Warner Brothers digital network as the flagship series. DC's announced that the live-action Titans show, which has been in development for a while, as we kind of alluded to, I think way back since 2014, actually, the live-action Titans show, which started its life over on TNT as a developmental pilot, is now going to Warner Brothers Digital as well. And the series is actually going to focus on Dick Grayson, believe it or not, as he assembles a team of young heroes. And here is the synopsis. It follows a group of young, soon-to-be superheroes recruited from every corner of the DC universe. In the action-adventure series, Dick Grayson emerges from the shadows to become the leader of a fearless band of new heroes that includes Starfire, Raven, and others. And in addition to that, Jeff Johns went ahead and teased on Twitter. He said, very happy to be writing the Titans again and working with this crew. Extremely excited. Will be something very different. ... Beast Boy. Now, of course, this doesn't confirm Beast Boy's going to be in there, but it would seem like a pretty good sign. If it's not a confirmation coming from a guy that's writing the show, I'm not sure what else really would be considered a confirmation. What do you guys think about that? Like a live-action Titan show? Tim, I know you said you were less interested in Young Justice Outsiders. Are you more interested in the live-action Titan series?
I am just because I'm a fan of the Titans. And
course.
don't worry about wondering if Beast Boy's going to be in the show. Jeff Johns just ends his sentences with hashtag Beast Boy instead of period. It sucks for his editors.
Yeah, and for everyone he's talking to, hashtag Beast Boy. It's like, what did you think of? Yeah.
Well, I guess we can assume Cyborg's not going to be on the show.
Well, so you say that. And I wouldn't be shocked to see them replace Cyborg with someone like, Blue Beetle or
Hawk
even
and
Static
Dove.
or Hawk and
Hawk and Dove,
but
get Blackbirds back. The show title.
There
The
you
show
go.
we needed.
All the birds.
All the birds with Raven and
Starfire.
Nightwing
That was
and Hawk,
the original
Dove.
thing
Yeah,
that they had.
the birds and Starfire.
It was Nightwing, Raven, Hawk, Dove, and Starfire.
Oh my god.
The Blackbirds.
Oh my god. But I mean, I could easily see them replacing Cyborg with someone like Hawk and Dove. No, with someone like Blue Beetle. But I'm not sure what the budget is going to be, so they might just opt for like Static or something like that if they're just trying to fill a quota, I guess. But it's one of those things that, they might do Cyborg anyways, just because we know there's a Nightwing movie in development. It's probably not going to be the same actor, at least from what we know from the tone they've set with the CW. But, that's not stopping them from having Dick Grayson lead this team. Luke, what are your thoughts on, I guess, the series in general and what this might mean for the DCEU, the Nightwing, I guess, being involved here and getting his own movie?
Well, I guess it just kind of goes to show that they're not really too afraid to use characters that are in movies, because like before, Superman is on Supergirl and he's shown up a few times, and I don't know, like it's interesting to see like two characters in two different mediums. If you don't like one, you can get someone somewhere else, but yeah, like this is interesting. I don't know the quality, like, again, this is like on a streaming service, and I'm not entirely sure like how much they're going to put into this, so I guess it all depends, because this is like a first, I think, for Warner Brothers and DC TV, just have like this show in-house on like this app, so I'm not really sure how much I can say on that front. I'm interested at the very least to see where it goes. In terms of Cyborg, I'm kind of with Tim, because I think only because they've been pushing him so hard to be on the Justice League that to put him on the Titans now would be kind of weird for them, I guess, because they had been pushing it so hard. But
yeah, that's the same thing that I have with that. They let him be on Teen Titans Go, but everywhere else he's presented as solely a member of the Justice League these days.
Yeah, so
at least since
I can't
like
really
2012
see.
or 2013. Yeah.
Yeah, and it would suck, because if they did get Beast Boy, that they had like the original Marv Wolfman, George Perez team without
Exactly.
Cyborg. That would be kind of lame, but
no Wonder Girl. She
No
shows
Wonder-
up
no
in
Wonder
like
Girl's
the
not
5th
allowed.
or 4th season, like she does in everything these days. Because apparently they can't
no.
start shows with her, but they can use her.
Yeah.
no Wonder Girl, no Kid Flash, no Aqualad, no Speedy.
Well, it's one of those things where, I mean,
And then
I
Colton Haynes shows up. Can I be on your show? They won't mention me on Arrow anymore.
they won't let me back on Arrow because I wanted to go be in San Andreas.
I wanted to go be in San Andreas.
But it was just, like, because I was just watching, just on that note, I was watching Arrow, I was starting watching the season, and he's talking about all the people who left the team, and he doesn't mention Roy.
Really?
Yeah.
That is
He's
savage.
He's like, Diggle left, Thea left, Laurel's dead, no one's here anymore.
I like to think Roy's in the background.
Just a tear
As
runs
he's
down
saying,
his face.
No one is here anymore. Oh, God.
He only showed up as a ghost in the 100th episode.
I mean, to be fair, what more were they going to do with him? They'd already kind of ruined the heroin addict storyline by making him, like, Mirakuru addicted.
Oh, he's up there with all those famous ghosts like Dennis O'Leary and Patrick Swayze.
Just standing on the staircase with all the Arrow cast members who got written off the show.
I just imagine it like, it's like, you must go to the Dagobah system. What the fuck are you talking about? Shit.
You must go to the streaming system and be on Titans.
Oh my god! I mean, we'll see if he shows up. We really, to clarify what I should say, on the Titan series, we really don't have a full list. All we know is Dick Grayson is going to be the leader of the team. Starfire is going to be in there. Raven's going to be in there, but we don't know about
Dick's going to be in both of those.
Yes, saucy, but.
Right after he's done with Harley in the animated movie.
Oh, God, with the mullet. But we actually really don't know any of the other characters. And I guess we have a teaser for Beast Boy. But other than that, give me two characters you'd like to add to that cast, rounded out as a team of 5. Tim, go.
Rounded out as a team... Wait, so if Beast Boy's on the show, don't we have 4?
Okay, team of 6. 2 more characters.
Okay, Tempest and, I don't know, Son of Vulcan.
Ooh. Luke, if you say Jaleel White, I swear to God.
I'm gonna say Brick.
Cool. House.
No, I'm not gonna say Brick. No one cares about Brick.
Right.
Wonder Girl, I would think is pretty cool. And... Tempest. I'd say Tempest. He'd be pretty cool.
I'd say I would say Bunker, but even I can't lie to myself like that. Give me...
Bunker, that's his name. Fuck.
Skitter. That character who went everywhere.
Yeah, Skitter, who's there for... Give me Bunker and Skitter, 2 characters that lasted all of 6 weeks.
Hey, Bunker lasted way longer. Skitter vanished halfway through that initial run and never came back.
I stopped reading after 6 weeks.
Who's that devil kid? Put that devil kid on there. Can't remember his name.
Oh, Clarion?
All right, yeah, him. Kid.
Devil Kid.
Devil Kid. I was thinking I actually would love to have Speedy on there, just because, looking at that team, he does kind of bring something that they don't have. But also, I guess, give me Static. Run it out.
No growth, just Static.
Just Static.
I wonder if they'll bring that Static show back on the streaming thing.
Well, I don't know, because there are a lot of people that were saying maybe Static's going to show up in Black Lightning, which could happen. Recently there's been a push to include Static in Teen Titans stuff, and cool, I'll do that too. I'm just thinking if you... to be quite frank about this, if they're looking at this as a quota, which, they probably are, let's be honest, it's WB. Then if you're not going to have Cyborg, you could do Jaime Reyes, but if you're not going to do Jaime Reyes, then because of the budget limitations, Static is, I guess, everybody can do, lightning effects and After Effects, it's easy enough. So
everyone can have a kid riding on a trash can lid.
There you go. So that's just my thoughts. Any other thoughts on the topic before we move on?
Not really.
I'm good.
Fun.
I hope it's good,
all right.
and I hope that the streaming service doesn't screw us over.
I agree. I'm really worried about the streaming service. I think I'm not going to say I think more people should be, but that's something I'd like to see if the listeners are as worried about that as we are. Speaking of that, I think it's time to move on to viewer questions. We were going to talk about the button a little bit, but as much as I'm loving it, we're just a little early in the run for that, I feel like. Just quick 5-second thoughts on the button.
It's cool.
It's cool. It's a good story.
It's interesting. We'll see where it goes so far.
I agree. I'm very interested in Flash 21, which comes out tomorrow by the time we're recording this, but a couple days before this. Before we get into viewer questions, I do have to remind you guys this episode is brought to you by Loot Crate. Loot Crate, that awesome subscription service that sends you a great box of unique goodies you won't find anywhere else. Sometimes you might get a Funko Pop. I actually have an exclusive Groot Pop. It has nothing to do with DC Comics, but it's probably just the coolest thing that I've gotten in one of those boxes. You'll also get an exclusive t-shirt, and this month's theme is Guardians. You'll get stuff from Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Destiny, Star Wars, and The Goonies, everybody's favorite Guardian-related property. But
Never say die.
Never say die, but you can get all of that cool stuff even cheaper by using our promo code BRIDGE10 at the exclusive link, www.trylootcrate.com/hybridnetwork. 10% off any subscription. Great deal. Go get those exclusive thingies and that t-shirt. Somebody post a picture of that t-shirt if you get it, because I'd love to see what it looks like. But now on to viewer questions. We actually have 4 good ones for you today. Friendly reminder, you can ask us questions in the comment section or on Twitter by using hashtag AskSuperfriends. And we'll probably read it aloud. We read the majority of questions. It used to be that we read every question, but we've had to make it a little more exclusive. But we actually do.
We don't have time for the paltry questions.
Yes, but
step
no,
your
seriously.
game up if you want to be on this podcast.
But I mean, if at first you don't succeed, try again. There are episodes where we're scrambling and there are not a ton of questions, so you might sneak in that way. But we do have 4 good ones. First question, and actually let me pull up so I can see. I made a mistake. I've made a horrible mistake. I have no idea who's asking these questions because I did not attribute them when we wrote them.
They're all
No,
Waru.
you did not.
The first question is hashtag AskSuperfriends. Do you think that the Justice League is going to fight Darkseid at the end of the movie, just like the New 52 story, or would that be too much? Luke, I'm going to let you start with that one. Do you think it would be too much to show and have the Justice League fight Darkseid in the Justice League movie coming out later this year?
Yes. I mean, yeah, that would be like way too much. They're fighting Steppenwolf for the most part. I don't think that we really need Darkseid to come in to be a final boss. We don't need Darkseid to be Doomsday because, frankly, Darkseid deserves a little bit more than that. But, I don't know, because, again, Darkseid is kind of a character I feel like you would want to build an end game to, and Steppenwolf is like the first bridge to that I think works very well. To just have him show up for no reason other than they need a big climactic boss fight would be pretty lame and would be pretty disrespectful, I think, to Darkseid in general. So
I agree. Jokes aside, this question was asked by Waru. Of course,
that's
it was.
fine. It's a good question. It's fine.
Tim, what do you think? Should Darkseid show up as a big final boss at the end of Justice League, or save him for the sequel?
Nah, I wouldn't do him right away on this. It'd make everything too overcluttered, especially since they already have the Parademons and they have Steppenwolf. And by bringing in Darkseid's just one step too many. It'd be like in the original Avengers if after they beat Loki, Thanos stepped out and started fighting them.
And speaking of that, I'm actually going to go straight into another question, kind of out of order. Scott Applier, pop cult fan, asks, hashtag AskSuperfriends, if they tease Darkseid similar to how they're teasing Thanos in the MCU, how would you guys integrate him as the main antagonist of a Justice League sequel? I guess that's a 2-part question there to break it down. If they tease Darkseid similar to how they're teasing Thanos, do we think they're going to tease him at the end of Justice League? Personally, that answer is yes from me. How would you guys integrate him as the main antagonist of a Justice League sequel? That is a really good question.
I think they'll probably tease him at the beginning of Justice League in that battle sequence.
That's true. I think we've already heard that they're going to do that.
Yeah.
Or at least I've.
I mean, technically, he was already teased in BVS, so
that's a very minor teaser. Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of how I think they should do him, I don't think they should do the exact same thing Marvel's doing just because they'll get accused of ripping it off, of stretching it out throughout multiple films and whatnot. If they're going to set him up in Justice League 1, I think they should fight him in Justice League 2.
I agree. I mean, I think they kind of are in a corner here where they're going to be accused of copying Marvel or ripping off Marvel, even though that might be the better way to go in terms of setting up a villain. I mean, I've seen some critiques of Marvel at this point because they've been setting up Thanos now for 5 years, and we're only just going to see him do stuff for the first time, literally 6 years after the first Avengers come out. Other than, like, he's sitting there, he turns around, he smiles, he threatens Ronan, he grabs a glove, and that's about it.
Sits.
It just takes him a really long time to get out of his chair.
It's very
he's kind of got to like roll back.
Darkseid has a similar problem.
It's a Tempur-Pedic stone slab. Darkseid is made out of Tempur-Pedic stone, but no, I would set him up the same way I think Tim is saying. Tease him in that first scene, maybe a little throwback to what Bruce Wayne saw. Maybe an Easter egg scene with, I was gonna say an Easter egg scene with like Steppenwolf or someone reporting back to Darkseid, but then again, that's the same thing they did in Avengers. But Luke, what are you thinking?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of the mindset right now that I do think they should fight him in Justice League 2, but I don't think that should be the last time that they fight him, because I don't really get the idea that if you, like, the main bad guy doesn't ever interact with them until, he finally shows up. That just doesn't seem. It just seems silly to me. So I kind of like the idea that he comes to try and invade. They kind of push him back, and then they're thinking, what should we do? Should we just destroy Earth? And he's like, no, let's just monitor them. They managed to push me back. That's interesting. I wonder if the anti-life equation is on Earth.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
That kind of jet starts like this whole thing where the New Gods become like a long-form story where Darkseid's looking for the anti-life equation. He gets a lead that it might be on Earth. And we kind of see some build up to that maybe later on where he's like using people like maybe Intergang in a Man of Steel movie to try and find it for him. So
I think it'd be funny if that thing from Krypton that they put into Clark ended up being the anti-life equation.
The little codex thing.
Yeah, the codex that had like all the Kryptonian knowledge or DNA or whatever they said it had in it.
Yeah, Superman's the anti-life equation.
He might be. He's got to die again. But no, I do agree. It's kind of stupid that they don't interact like that. I really would love to see put Luke in charge of DCEU. Luke would reject the job. I
mean, I just think that's a problem with like Marvel in general because, like you said, Thanos. Like, I haven't seen Thanos do anything, so I'm not really that interested in Thanos showing up in Infinity War because he hasn't done anything to really warrant me being excited.
And it's one of those things I hate to use NFL draft terms again because I feel like, or sports terms in general, because I feel like sometimes like that goes over the head of some of the audience, and then. You know, I don't like to... I like to stay on topic, but I'm going to do it anyways. Long story short, with Thanos, it's like we're just projecting, like, potential here. We're just kind of talking... It's all potential. We've never seen him do anything, but just... We know kind of the background and stuff like that, so that's why people are excited. Quick third question. Charles Burrows asks, did your Krypton breakdown get taken down? It did. It got... We didn't get a copyright strike for it, so it wasn't actually taken down, but what happened is they... Basically, I guess it's a new feature. YouTube can do this. I guess they copyright claimed it, and then they made it so that the video couldn't be viewed in any territory. But we did not get a strike, thankfully, which sucks. I mean, I was very positive in that. But speaking of Krypton, we actually have another question on that. Jalen asks, #Superfriends, so close with the hashtag, would you like Krypton to open up with Clark in his Fortress of Solitude looking up its past like he did in Action Comics? My answer is yes. I actually think that would be cool. I don't think we need to see Henry Cavill, even though it's based on, clearly inspired by Man of Steel, if not based on Man of Steel. I don't think we need Tyler Hoechlin. I would just have, like, maybe someone asking... Kelex, you just see the red cape and the blue suit and the black hair, and somebody in a, deep masculine voice, Kelex, what happened to Krypton? Something like that. Hopefully better written than that, but we'll see.
Yo, what up with Krypton, dog?
What up with Krypton, dog? Where my family at?
Why so lonely?
It got blowed up, but dead ass, B. Tim, what are you thinking?
I don't think it's necessary to have it, but if you're gonna do it, I'd probably do it at the end, have the story have been Clark seeing it as opposed to setting up that it's him looking at it.
I agree. I would love to... I don't know. I just think it's a pretty good framing device, and it might explain kind of, especially if it's like Man of Steel technology where the ghost of Jor-El is... talking to Clark, it might make sense for it to be something like that. It's like that's how maybe it's more like some interactive like personality, and that's how in the trailer, can't remember the character's name, Sag-El is talking to his grandson or something. Sag-El. Sagger's L.
I would prefer it if Superman goes to his laptop and he opens up an email from his great-grandfather, Sag-El. Yeah, telling him about it.
Scrolling down over the course of, like, the scene, but...
Has a little picture of Planet Krypton on the folder.
Yeah, I want to see, like, hey, Bruce, hey, Clark, how you doing? And then Superman just goes back to the memories of his great-grandfather.
Exactly. Oh, my goodness. Anyway, I would like run my head through the TV.
What's the last question?
The last question, #Ask Superfriends, who or what would you like to see the Suicide Squad take on in the upcoming sequel? Personally, I would like to see them take on a nest of parademons. It's an interesting choice. Could tie in with Justice League. I really don't know. I'd like to see them do more of what they do in the comics than what they did in this movie when you think about it, because their actual mission was just escorting Amanda Waller up a flight of stairs, and everything after that was just ad-lib. I would love to see maybe like the beginning of the New 52 run when they kind of go into, I think they're trying to find that baby that has the cure for a virus. Cure baby. But it's got a lot of interplay with the Squad. I would love to see that personally. Or maybe something based on even the original run rather than a little more freeform like we saw. But what about you guys? Luke, what do you think? Who would you like Suicide Squad to take on in the sequel?
Well, I mean, I had a pitch for a while. Well, not really a pitch. It's just an idea I had for myself where, like, they kind of invade... I can't ever remember what nation it's called. The one that Queen Bee rules over.
Bialia?
Yes, I wanted to see something that'd be kind of cool. Bialia, kind of like in a war with Kahndaq and Black Adam's forces. That way you retroactively set up Black Adam. You set up another character in Queen Bee. But I kind of like the idea that they go in there to get a scientist who had, like, been forced to create a bomb for either side, and they have to try to get him out and get him to defuse it so that neither side sets it up.
That'd be cool. Tim, what do you think?
And
go ahead. Sorry, Luke. Finish your thought.
No, never mind. Go. No.
Tim,
go.
I don't have anything set in stone I want them to go up against. Maybe like have like them go after someone like the Calculator, who's like teamed up with the League of Assassins, so they have to go up against like Lady Shiva and Talia and Raj and the various people who are associated there, and then track him down so he doesn't like take information from Cadmus or put out a virus to destroy the government systems.
That could be a really interesting, definitely harder villains to face, I guess, for the Suicide Squad, because after the first one, you would be thinking the hallmark of these movies was mowing down endless numbers of gooey goons.
Well, they may not be gooey, but they're definitely faceless if you go up against the League of Assassins.
That's true.
You can kill lots of those guys, feel nothing.
There you go. All right, any final thoughts on
Talia, who actually shows her face?
There you go. Any final thoughts on this episode? Any of our questions? Anything else regarding our story, guys?
What was the name of that Luthor Powerless episode?
Win, Luthor, draw.
Yes.
Yeah. That's the last phrase.
That's gonna
Good night, everybody.
That's gonna be the title of this episode. Win, Luthor, draw. But that about does it for us here. Thanks for watching. For Luke and Tim, this is CJ, and we'll see you next week.